In this video, you're going to see how to perform wildcard searches in Excel Python. Keep in mind that Excel Python is currently only available to Excel 365 users with the Insiders version. In this example, we have a dataset of accounts payable vendors. The second column lists different vendor names. We'll perform different types of wildcard searches on this field. Before we begin, make sure none of your field headers have spaces between words. If they do, use underscores. In a cell to the right, input equals followed by the letters PY and hit Tab. This creates a Python input box where our code will live. We'll create an acronym with the letters DF, short for data frame. Set this equal to our range of values to the left. This will hold all the records in our vendor dataset. Next, we'll create a variable called myFilter. Here we'll reference our data frame followed by the vendor name column. After that, we'll add the string function, which has a sub-function called contains. This allows pattern searches. We'll begin with a search on any vendor that contains the word tech anywhere in its name. Finally, we'll come down on a new line and reference our data frame followed by the lock function, which has row and column inputs. For the row input, we'll reference our myFilter variable to filter the name column based on our criteria. We could add a column input and specify certain columns, but we'll just leave this second input blank to return all the columns. Hit Ctrl+Enter to input the code. If you see the word data frame, go to the drop-down list to the left of the formula bar and select Excel value. This returns all vendors containing the word tech somewhere in the name. Filtering data like this generates a default index number column on the left. If you don't want to see this in the results, there's a quick fix. At the end of our last line, we can add the reset index function. Inside the parentheses, enter drop and set it equal to true. The contains function also allows users to perform regex pattern searches. Now we'll search on vendor names that begin with the word tech. To do this, add a caret symbol at the front of the word tech. Now we'll perform a search on all names that end with the word tech. To do this, we'll remove the caret symbol from the front, then add a $sign on the end of tech. This is the regex code to match a pattern occurring at the end of a string. Now let's assume we want to search on names that begin with the letters BAT or BIT. Back in our code, we'll add back a caret symbol at the beginning of our pattern. We'll follow that with a capital letter B and then a set of brackets where we'll list the letters A and I. The brackets mean any of these letters. We'll end it with a lowercase letter t. This returns names that begin with BAT or BIT. If we also want to include names that begin with BET, we simply just add the letter E inside the brackets. Now let's assume we want to return all vendor names that are 3 words. Back in our code, we'll begin with a backslash followed by a lowercase w. This means any single word character. After that, add a plus symbol, which means one or more of the previous word character. Next, we'll add a space character, which is represented by a backslash and a lowercase s. Next, we'll copy and paste the pattern we just created to repeat it. At the end, we'll add one final word character with a plus, which represents the third and final word. This returns all vendor names that have 3 words with single spaces between each word. Now we'll perform a search on vendors that contain a number somewhere in the name. Back in our code, type backslash followed by a lowercase letter d. This represents any numerical digit. We can also specify number patterns at the beginning or end with a caret or $sign. In our final example, we'll return all vendors whose names are exactly 4 characters in length. This time we need to change the string function from contains to the full match function since we want a full match of the length. Inside the parentheses, we use backslash followed by a lowercase letter w for a single word character. Following that, we add a set of curly brackets which tells Python how many times to repeat this word character. This returns all names exactly 4 characters in length. That's it for this time. See you in the next one.